Some people stay stuck for years without even realizing they're rehearsing the same day in slightly different clothes. The seasons change, excuses change, the plan change, and still the outcome stays really close to the same thing. Energy stays low, follow through stays, unstable and shaky. The same patterns keep finding their way into the week. I don't know if that's happened to you. I know it's happened to me a lot. And without realizing some of the things we're going to talk about in this podcast today, you stay in that stuck pattern. Because a lot of people they think that being stuck means they need more information, right? But they actually need a more honest look at what they keep repeating. We're going to get into all this great stuff today. And if you are tired of watching the same struggle keep showing up in new forms, head over to talktoperry.com. I'm going to put that down in the lower third if you're watching on the video here. We can look at the pattern underneath the frustration and build a way forward that fits your chapter of life right now. That's over at talktoperry.com. All right, so I've noticed a few things about people that stay stuck, and I've also been in that stuck mode many times in my life. And it's like, well, gosh, how did I figure out how to get out of it? So one thing I noticed about people who stay stuck for years is that they stay in explanation mode way too long. That's explanation. I said that right. They can tell you why life is hard. They can explain why this season feels messy and off. They can point to time, stress, family, work, age, and pressure. Now, some of that may be true. Okay, I'm not going to dismiss any of that. But the problem is that explanation starts replacing change. We want transformation. We want change, yet we're putting this other stuff first. And another pattern that I notice is delayed honesty. They know what's not working, but they keep using soft language around it. They say they're off track and they're really avoiding the same decision every day is what's happening. They say that I'm overwhelmed when they're also overcommitted. They say that they need more motivation when actually they need structure. The softer the truth gets, the longer the pattern survives. I know we got to get honest with ourselves. Also, another thing I notice with people, people that stay stuck, is they keep waiting for, let's call it a cleaner moment, a better week, a lighter schedule, more energy, a stronger mood, the right month, a new Monday, the fresh start, all that stuff, right? You've been there. Now, that can sound reasonable, yet it quietly trains the mind to keep handing this change to future me's problem, right? A future version of yourself that really never fully arrives. I would always say, that's future Perry's problem. That's when I was doing my self-talk. And there's another layer to this. People stay stuck when they make every setback mean way too much. We can tell ourselves a really good story, right? Even if we're not saying it out loud, we could think a big story. One rough meal or off weekend, it turns into, I blew it. A missed workout can turn into, I always fall off. Even a hard week, it can turn to, you know what, I need to go back to the beginning and start over again. That kind of thinking, it doesn't just slow down the progress. It really builds this identity around the setback. Now, some people stay stuck because they keep trying to solve the wrong problem. They search for a better plan while protecting the same pattern. It's really interesting that used to happen to me all the time. I would get to a point and they'd be like, you know what, this isn't working, when I really wasn't very committed to it, but I wasn't willing to admit it. And then I would start looking for another plan. Maybe there's a different way, an easier way, an easy button for that, right? So we'll search for a better plan and protect the same pattern. A new program, new notebook, new promise. Think about the new year that happens. Yet the drift keeps happening in the same moment. The late night, the tired afternoons, the weekend gap, the response to stress. The plan changes, but the weak point, it stays untouched. That's when I was realizing, when I was determined, I'm going to commit to a 90-day fitness plan. I can do this. I can do it from home. I can follow a trainer on the TV. I can do this. I've made it so simple to do. Yet day after day after day, I noticed that I was having a conversation with myself, because I had an hour commute. So that could be a good conversation. And I was talking myself out of doing today's workout, maybe switching it up and making up for it the next day, as if I was going to have double the energy the next day. But this is the negotiation I was having with myself. And I realized, oh my gosh, I need to figure out a way to just start getting my workouts done earlier. And I came up with a couple of systems to do it, made it super simple. And now it's turned into the past 23 years that I've been on track with my exercise. But it took a bit. So even this, start asking yourself a better question. What do I keep rehearsing? Like me, I was rehearsing some negotiation to talk myself out of working out every day. And just notice what you're rehearsing, not just what keeps going wrong. We'll rehearse that too. But what do you keep repeating? What's the thought that shows up first? What time of day tends to get a little soft or loose? What excuse sounds the most believable? That was me driving home. It was believable. I could tell myself, well, I've got a dog rescue. I've got a to-do list. I've got a home business. I've got all these things. Plus, I'm a full-time teacher, and I've got this hour commute and traffic. I could build a big case around it. Even asking yourself what standard keeps getting softened. Like, for sure, I'm showing up and getting my workout done right away at 6 a.m., yet you waver on it. Just that question alone, getting radically honest, it moves you from shame into clarity. Now, a lot of people won't get radically honest with themselves. They'll procrastinate that. And that's one of the things I just talked about, was the honesty. But once that pattern becomes visible, progress gets more specific. If the same evening keeps taking you out of the game, start building your evening differently. If the same thoughts that you're having, it keeps wrecking your momentum, saying things like, oh, it's boring, this is horrible, I can't do this, I hate working out, all this stuff, start answering that thought way differently. If the same type of pressure always knocks you off, well, then support that moment before it arrives. Another thing I notice is that stuck people often protect the familiar more than they protect their future. They hate the pattern, I'll tell you that, but they know how to live there. I've often told people, I'm like, oh, you're just comfortable with being mad at that, or you're just comfortable at hating working out, or you're just comfortable at avoiding that. And they'll be like, no, I don't. But the thing is, they do. They would rather be comfortable in not doing the thing than to get a little bit uncomfortable toward their goal. They may hate the pattern, but they know how to live there. They know how to explain it. They just know how. They even know how to restart every time. So a stronger life asks for a new standard, and it can feel less familiar than the old struggle. I get that, but people who finally get unstuck, they don't usually do it perfectly. And that was me. I was showing up every day. I made myself a little mini commitment that would have me showing up and doing and starting my workout, even when I didn't want to do the workout, even when I said it was boring and I hated it workout. And why did I let myself get out of shape and overweight and overwhelmed for so long? But I had to believe that I had to step into something different. People that get unstuck, they become more honest. They stop waiting for the ideal mood. They recover faster after they, a miss or a goof up. They stop giving the same excuse so much authority. They stop giving into external circumstances. They stop actually being surprised by a pattern that they've already been in many times. And they're just like, oh, that's not me anymore. People stay stuck for years when the pattern stays protected. Once that pattern gets named, studied, interrupted, something shifts. Now, it doesn't necessarily happen all that, super immediately. It takes a little bit of practice, but stuck stops feeling like the identity and it starts looking like repetition that lasted longer than it should have, right? And if that's the case, that means it can change. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. I mean, if you are in that stuck mode, drop down in the comments there, or what you've been able to, how you've been able to sidestep the areas that you've been stuck in. Put those in the comments. I promise I will reply. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.